Everyone, welcome to the regular meeting of the Monroe Local Schools Board of Education. Mrs. Moore, will you please call the roll?
I will. Mr. Carpenter?
Present.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Present.
Mr. Grant?
Present.
Mr. Leeds?
Here.
Mr. Fulham?
Here.
Will everyone please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. 1.3, additions and deletions to the agenda.
I move to remove, or I motion to remove the executive session.
Do I have a second?
So moved.
All right. Ms. Hagedorn, motion to remove the executive session. Mr. Fulham, second. Anything else? No? Mrs. Moore, please call the roll.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mr. Grant?
Aye.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye. Motion carried. Section 1.4, approve the agenda. May I get a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Grant.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Leeds. Mrs. Moore, please call the roll.
Mr. Grant?
Aye.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye. Motion carried. Section 2, board liaison and committee updates. 2.1, legislative.
I just want to advise you, there'll be nothing in the legislation until sometime in April because the election tomorrow, and then you have Holy Week next week, they will be out, so it's going to be sometime in April before there's any legislation going on at all. And there's still a big fight between Stevens and Matt Huff up there about who's going to be speaker. So that's going on, so nothing will be done.
All right.
That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Leeds. Section 2.2, Butler Tech.
Mr. Guido won't be here. He's in DC with Butler Tech, so he will be at the next meeting with an update from that meeting.
So we'll get like a twice as long meeting
Yes.
or update.
Update.
Great. We'll look forward to it then. All right. 2.3, finance.
Yes. Debbie and I, we met with Robert and also Amy on March 6th, just to kind of get an update on a few different items, but more planning for the future finance committee meetings. That was really the main agenda of that meeting, but there is an update, and I'm going to pass it over to Amy to give, because she planned on giving us a brief update on some possible good news from the Rocky Express pipeline. So I'll let you do your update.
Thank you. I was notified by Butler County that the Rockies Express valuation determination has settled. They settled at 88% of their valuation, which is better than expected. If you recall, they were only paying about 50% of their tax bill, and they believed they only owed 50% of their tax bill. So 88% is a win for us. I have not actually seen anything in writing other than that quick email from the county. They are working at updating their records. I hope to have some more formal documents, but I do plan to incorporate that into our May forecast update.
Is that retroactive?
Yes, we will be recouping the difference between the 50% and 88%, and that is expected to be received in fiscal year 2025, and it should be 3 payments worth, so.
Awesome.
That's really good news.
That's good news.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Item 2.4, student achievement.
For student achievement, for the primary school, I'd like to recognize the primary student of the month. For March, it was Rebecca Winheimer, Holden Martin, Sharon Batari, Lucas Moore, Barrett Sullivan, Anna Sikore, Jose Hudson, Oakley Wilson, Weston Wallace, Isaac Morgan, Purity Okposio, Harlan Gibson, Finley Brown, Ezekiel Ray, Maxwell Tudor, Genesis Humfred, Foster Hari, Leighton Witskin, Maddie Passy, Bigyan Bigyan Mishra, Sutton Simmons, Parker Oaks, and Maya Crawford. So congratulations to those students of the month. I'd like to mention that Mrs. Hines led the Elementary Kids Heart Challenge for the American Heart Association, and the students raised $11,070. It's a lot of money. The American Heart Association's grant program offers participating schools grants of $250 up to $2,500 for wellness and health initiatives, including physical equipment activities. I'd like to say thank you to the students and families that helped support this great cause. And then there were 5 members of the Monroe Junior High Power of the Pen team that advanced to the Regional Creative Writing Tournament on Saturday, March 2nd. The tournament was held at the Cincinnati Country Day School in Cincinnati. Representing Monroe were 8th graders Lydia Price and Addison Herring, and 7th graders Coda Douglas, Ella Rutherford, and Olivia Field. So congratulations to them. The tournament featured 176 writers from 32 different schools in the greater Cincinnati area. Our own Coda Douglas of 7th grade placed 9th. So Coda will represent Monroe High School, or Monroe Junior High at the state tournament in May, which will be held at Ashland University. So we wish her luck on that. As for the high school, the spring sports are starting. Baseball's headed to Florida for their spring break to practice down there at the wide world of sports. The ACT and pre-ACT exams went well for the high school. The Freshman Enrichment Day had 135 freshmen participate. They went to the Monroe First Church of God, where they helped the Lions Club brought over 3,000 eggs for the freshmen to stuff for the candy and the community Easter egg hunt. They had a motivational speaker, rapper, K-drama performed for about an hour. They gave the freshmen a positive message for living and how to treat others. They participated in games and team building activities, and they packed go bags for families in need. I'd like to congratulate the Symphonic Band and the Chorale Choir that are headed to state. They both received the highest rating possible this past weekend. And the athletic department will be holding a college signing ceremony tomorrow morning, Tuesday, March 19th at 7:30 in the auditorium. They have 4 students signing tomorrow. Ashton Cush for boys soccer going to Anderson University. Trey Lambert for bowling going to The Ohio State University. Alexis Fleming for diving going to Franklin College. And Ryan Miles for football going to Center College. And that's the update for student achievement.
Very good.
Thank you. Section 3, Communications, item 3.1, recognition.
We have a number of recognitions tonight. First up, Mr. Prohaska is going to talk a little bit about the Governor's Merit Scholarship recipients.
Okay, before we start talking about students who are fantastic at what they do, I want you to all be aware we know how state operates. So Robert and I received this information back in January, or actually December, but they gave us a very short deadline of early January to make sure we got this all taken care of. I just want you to know that in the future, you guys will be having the same meeting again, probably in September, because it was meant to be something that it goes through the student's junior year, and then the scholarships are provided in early September, so that those that want to be engaged in early applications for college, they could get that all figured out. So they're a little bit behind the 8 ball. So I think it is important that everybody here knows that this is the top 5%, but it is at the end of their junior year. So I just want to make that clear. So what I'm going to do is call up the students that are here. Just line up right here until we get everybody, and then we'll come in here and we'll do the handshaking, we'll do the pics and all that stuff, and everybody will smile. But no, this is a huge deal. This is a $20,000 scholarship for these students. It is, I know for the families, it's going to be very, very helpful. I want you to have a little bit of an understanding why the governor is doing this, because they want our brightest to stay in the state of Ohio. So one way to do that is to throw a lot of money at our smart kids. And they've worked very, very hard for this, and it is something that will entice them to go to our local universities. I'm very, very pleased to announce this list of students who have, they've done a great job, and we've got a lot of our students that are doing a great job as well. But like I said, this is through their junior year. But I'll call their names. They'll stand right here, and then we'll take the group shot. So I'm not sure if everybody's here. Is Ingrid Escalante Hernandez? Not sure if she's here. She is, good. And I've got the kids, yep. Get it up there. Get right on the corner there, and then we'll just go across. I got you guys in alphabetical order. Mason Fugate. Chase Grandstad. I'll get them. Jackson Honchel. Is he here? Emma Kelly. Oh, sorry. Brenna Lemoyne. Allison Morris. Hope Muncie. Jimmy Sem. Evan Wills. Okay, and Vanessa Wolf. Want to congratulate you guys. Great work. Very excited to see what you guys are going to do in the future. And I'm sure what we'll do is have you guys stand up. Is that what's next? You guys want to shake some hands?
Sounds like we got it all figured
you
out.
say-
We're just following your lead.
Okay, yeah, so you guys come on up here.
Did
You'll
you
come
say that,
through.
did
What's
you
that?
say each one is getting $20,000?
Yes.
So this is a new program
Amazing.
instituted by the governor, and again, as Mr. Prohaska said, it is to entice top students in Ohio to stay in Ohio to go to school. So if they decide to leave the state, I believe that the scholarship is not
Yes,
applicable.
it's for Ohio universities,
And it is for,
private and public.
yes, for the top
Private and
5% in
In Ohio.
every school. So they actually send us a portal, and they give us, based on our enrollment for seniors, they give us the exact number. And then they, according to class ranking, those, for us, it's 11 students. So the top 11 students in the graduating class are eligible this year. And it's a $5,000 a year scholarship, renewable every year. And
to
so if
$20,000.
for some reason, somebody in that top area would decline due to deciding to go out of state, I believe it bumps down to the next one, so.
So we have two that are not present.
Yes,
So we have over $200,000 worth of scholarships.
yeah,
Yeah,
pretty
Pizza
awesome.
Poke
man.
there.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
it's awesome.
It's awesome. Good
It's
stuff.
awesome.
Well, I'll have you guys get up front and shake some hands. There's no babies to kiss, so we're just. So we'll go. Okay. Okay, we'll start with Vanessa and work this way. Okay, next. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. So come on down here on the end. And I need you right here between those two. Then right here to make the a little bit bigger. And you're gonna go right in here, scoot down this way a little bit. Right here. Then let's put one on that side and one on this side. And you guys might have to squeeze in a little bit. Yeah.
Can I have you guys double up over here on this side, just kind of scoop up there? Yeah, actually, you're good.
Sounded what?
Perfect. All right. Off this. All right, everybody ready? 1, 2, 3. One more, 1, 2, 3. Let the parents get started.
Congratulations. Now would be the time to leave. Unless you want to stay. Really? Not you.
Let's go.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations again. I do want to say, as Mr. Prohaska shared, it is a new program, and, you know, just as the state of Ohio does anything, they basically notified us and gave us almost no time to try to get everything organized and out to families, and so hopefully next year the state's a little more organized to get that.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Keep hoping.
Yep.
It's good.
Yep. Okay.
All right, next up, we have Mr. Silverman. He has some recognitions.
Well, thank you, and thank you to the board for this opportunity. We had a very, very busy winter season and a very, very busy end of the winter season, especially from probably mid-February to early March, first couple weeks of March. So really excited to recognize some of those accomplishments that we had this year in this past winter. So we've got 3 different groups of students we'd like to recognize. The first that we'd like to recognize is Andrew Wilcox. Andrew qualified for the Ohio OATCCC. It's the Ohio Track and Field Coaches Association State Indoor Track and Field Meet. They govern indoor track and field in Ohio. It's not an OHSA sanctioned sport, but it's through the OATCC, and there's a lot of little intricacies that go into the qualifying of it, but being able to make that mark and qualify for the state meet is pretty awesome. It's held up at the Spire Academy, Spire Institute, up in Geneva, Ohio, which is a pretty remarkable facility and complex if you've ever had a chance to be up there or to just check it out online. It's pretty awesome. So for Andrew to have the opportunity to run up there is pretty cool, and I will introduce his coach and mom, Coach Wilcox, to talk about Andrew's accomplishment.
First, congratulations to the cheerleaders and to Nathan. Super cool. You guys really set the benchmark for the future for athletes and yourselves to do it again. So when I say I know what it takes, we've obviously been there, so I know what it takes, and congratulations. Thanks to the board, administration, and obviously Mr. Silverman for having us here so that we can recognize Andrew for his 3rd consecutive appearance at the Division I state meet. Super cool. As he mentioned, the qualification process is a little different than we do for most other sports. Every athlete has from December to February to compete as many or as few times as they want and get their best mark. So I guess in essence you could do it once and make it, which Andrew did, or you could do it every weekend, and some athletes do that. So for comparison's sake, over 1,400 kids competed in the 3,200 in that 3-month period, and Andrew finished 14th. So he's in the top 1%. Pretty cool. I'm sure you can imagine he also wanted to do better. It's kind of where you end up in competitive sports at that high of a level. Everybody's there to bring their A game, and everyone brought their A game to the state meet. So Andrew tends to use the indoor season as a recovery season and a little bit of a build-up for outdoor, so he doesn't even commit himself to meets until the end of January. As a parent, it makes me a little nervous. I want those opportunities, and I want to see where the baseline is sooner. Going into January 28th, there was a lot of anticipation, excitement, hope, and, well, let's hope we do better this year, because he's not happy enough with the same as last year. He wants better, he wants faster, and obviously that's what all of these kids are aiming for. So going into that meet, it's pretty exciting. It was the biggest team camp we've ever had. Q competed as well as Ava Heitmeyer, so we had 4 whole bags in our team camp. He had some other people there to cheer him on. A couple of the other schools were there, a lot of his friends. And he finished that with punching his ticket to the state meet in a time that guaranteed him a top 24. So he was able to kind of relax the rest of the season, take a few opportunities. While he doesn't train for the shorter distances, he did run the 1 mile, and the 800, doubled at a meet, and ran a 4:26 and a 2:03 respectively, which is pretty good for someone for whom the longer the distance, the better he does. Getting to the state meet, as Mr. Silverman said, is really cool. The facility is phenomenal. It happens to be 4.5 hours away for a up and back drive in one day to run for under 10 minutes. But they do it right. They put on a great event. It runs on time, which is more than I can say for a lot of other things we've done, but it's amazing. We've gotten up there. The facility has a 300-meter track, which in indoor track is the epitome of what you're looking to do. So he ran in that meet, and I will say I know he did want to do better, but it was the first time in 4 years where I've seen Andrew really truly belong, take the risk. He hung with the lead group the entire time, made a move to be 4th or 5th for a couple of laps, and it just didn't pan out to hang because it wasn't there. But it was really cool to watch him be a part of that group and know that he belonged. He finished the race. That community of runners, especially in this group, they know what you wanted to do. So he had a friend from another school come up who had run the mile earlier in the day, and he said, hey man, I know it's not what you wanted, but just remember where you are and that you're here, and celebrate that. Yeah. So that said, perspective is everything when you finish a race. It took a lot to get there. These individual sports are tough because your best day might have been your workout 3 days ago, or it's coming in your long run in a week and a half. It may not line up with the race day. So, you know, you put that in perspective and you enjoy the time you had. Winter is probably the hardest time to enjoy being a runner, especially when it's Ohio and it's cold and icy. We've got 10-mile runs in 0-degree weather. We have a 4-mile workout that he did around the horseshoe at OSU where I went inside and gave up because my eyes were watering, my eyelashes were freezing together. And he finished the workout happy, smiling. This was great. So the work that he puts into it is the outcome that we have at the end of everything. So while I will say the 9:22 that he ran is definitely not the best he's going to do. There's one person in this room that doesn't think 9:22 is amazingly fast, and that's Andrew. And that's because he knows it's the tip of the iceberg. It's not the end of his career. It's just the beginning and where he will go next year. It's 17 or 15 seconds faster than his best time at indoor this time last year, and nowhere near where he's going to come as we go forward into the future. So that scored him 3rd in the 3,200 in the SWBL all time. He's hoping, obviously, to improve on that in the outdoor season. If anybody's around on April 22nd and 25th, Monroe is hosting 2 cross-country, here we are, track meets. The one is the Justin Britton, and that's the varsity meet on the 25th, and the other is the JV Invitational on the 22nd, both out in the stadium. Come out, cheer on our athletes. We have a really big team this year. We're excited, over 80 athletes, and they will compete everyone over those 2 days. Wow. So it's a good opportunity to get out and see the whole team compete. Andrew will be running the mile and the 800 and hopefully put up some good times. But that's to say he's done all of this while maintaining an over 5.0 GPA. He should finish over 5.1. He has a job where he's working at the Warren County Sports Park and taking all college courses. So the training and the commitment are there, but the rest of it carries over into the rest of his life. Everybody tells me I'm going to be sad that this is over, and I know it's true. But I'm super excited. I'm going to miss indoor track because we got to spend a lot of time together, but I can't wait for what next year brings. He'll be a Dayton Flyer, and I hope you guys will still be cheering him on from there. But thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
You want to do all the recognitions first and then one picture?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yep. And I will say the one trade-off for the 4-hour trip to Geneva is they moved the outdoor state meet to Dayton this year, Welcome Stadium. So that one, knock on wood, everything goes well, right? But a little closer to home. So yeah. So thank you. So the next student athlete we'd like to recognize is Nathan Mosier. Really excited to recognize Nathan. Nathan absolutely had a phenomenal season, but also phenomenal, I guess, end of the season and postseason. And I will let Coach Wayne Heipfeld tell a little bit about that. But what I will say about Nathan, other than the individual accolades that Coach Heipfeld will get into, is it's really, really fun to watch somebody that you know is putting in all the extra work, spending the extra time in the room, doing all the little things that need to be done to be great, achieve that success. It's easy to go to practice every day, compete with your friends, and be good. It's not easy to be really great. And Nathan does all those things, and it's really, really cool to watch him on the biggest stage in the Schottenstein Center with thousands of people represent Monroe and do phenomenal. So, Nathan, we're really proud of you on that. I'm going to let Coach Heipfeld talk a little bit about your accomplishments this year and go from there.
You gotta get some eyes out here just a little bit. Just to speak a little bit on Nathan, one of the big accomplishments that he got this year, to start off with a record of 38-7 for the year, league champion, sectional champion, placed 3rd at the district tournament, and a state qualifier for the 2nd year in a row. That was a huge accomplishment. Not only that, but Nathan reached a big milestone that you always see in the wrestling community, is to reach in the 100th career win. And to be able to achieve that at a junior level still has a whole nother year to be able to further that career win is a huge accomplishment. To be able to compete like everybody's saying at that level, at the state level, at the individual sports, not just a team sport. You're there like wrestling. It is a very hard sport, physically, mentally. A lot of times you can win or lose a match before you even step out on the mat. The preparation from the very get-go of doing the alpha weigh-ins and learning what your body can do and where you can actually get your body down to as far as being lean muscle mass and stuff like that, and be able to get your body down to the perfect, not necessarily perfect, but the best shape that it can be in physically at a young age like this, and to be able to train your bodies as what you was mentioning here with him. It's just a huge accomplishment that you can do, and to be able to compete at that level, and the extra work, as Eric was mentioning, of all the extracurricular, tournaments and stuff that he goes to. He's already talking about going to a national tournament down in Virginia Beach. Last year he went to Disney duels with some other teams and competed at those national team levels. And that's actually what it takes to be able to learn where you're at and learn where you need to be. Exactly what she was mentioning just a second ago. Yeah, he's happy to be a state qualifier, but he's not happy because he didn't reach his goal, what he wanted to do, and he wanted to be up on that podium. And I know next year, if he puts in the work, just a little bit more than what he put in this year, that he will be able to reach that goal and be able to get up on that podium. Not only do I want to see him reach his goals and to be able to reach that podium, is I want him to be able to reach the top, to push himself to the point to where he can stand on the very top of that podium, not just on the podium. And if he can push himself and the teammates be able to push him through, not only Nathan, but some of the other ones that, he led the team as a captain throughout all year long, and to lead the younger group. As some of you know, that we've got some of the youngest groups that we've had in wrestling in a long time here. We didn't have any seniors this year. Nathan is one of 3 juniors that we have, so Nathan's going to be a senior next year and be able to see what he has in store for next year as a senior. To be able to represent Monroe at that state level is going to be really awesome to be able to see and be able to coach him up there at that level. So I appreciate it, Nathan, and his parents. That takes a lot too, is the parents being able to take him and send him to all these national tournaments and stuff that he wants to go to, because it costs a lot of money to do all that, and everybody knows that. So, but I appreciate Nathan and his family, and that's really about all I got to say. Thank you.
The third and final group we'd like to recognize is our competition cheerleading team. This group, you want to talk about taking, I don't know how I'm going to say this. I mean, we started what, July 5th? And state meet was March 2nd. That's a long time from start to finish to get where they wanted to be, but they got there and they did absolutely phenomenal. So it was a lot of fun for me. March 2nd was a busy day, and Mr. Prohaska likes to give me a hard time because I'm not an early riser, because we were late night owls in athletics, right? We had late nights and games, and but we had an early meet that day up in Big Walnut High School in Sunbury, and it took me about 3 days to recover from the trip up there, but it was awesome because I got to go see them, and then on the way back, swing back through Kettering and watch Nathan again, and had a great Saturday on March 2nd. But they qualified for the OASSA, the Ohio Association of Secondary School Administrators, who governs the state meet for cheer and dance, and they qualified for their state competition. Like I said, it was held at Big Walnut High School in Sunbury, Ohio, just north of Columbus. And they really, really do a great job. When you watch our girls compete, it's incredible when you look at the athleticism and the talent that they have, and how that gets kind of woven and spun into a really, really neat routine that encompasses so many different aspects to it. So it was a lot of fun to go watch and support them. They do a phenomenal job representing our school. Monroe has definitely been put on the comp cheer map over the last 6, 7, 8 years, and I'd like to invite Coach Kelly up to talk a little bit more about it. Either way.
Okay, I definitely will introduce them. I'm going to go ahead and just say a few things about them before I bring them up, but I do want to congratulate Alex and Nathan. Great job this season, and of course I had Nathan in my 4th grade class, so I'm very partial when I see my kiddos. He is still one of my kiddos, succeeding in all that he loves to do, so it's just neat to see. So I would like to thank the board for having us here tonight, and of course our high school administration, Mr. Prohaska and Mr. Creamer, and of course Eric Silverman. Just thank you for your support and being able to be recognized tonight. So we set out, of course, July 5th was mentioned, yes, to accomplish quite a few things this year. We had quite a few goals. We started training in that early July, started choreographing our routine then. We then set out in our first competition in November. It was at Fairmont High School, and the girls got second out of 7 teams at our very first competition. So we were excited. We could see great things that were going to be this season. We hosted our 2nd annual competition in December here at Monroe, which went really well. And these girls, of course, were hands down the reason why it went smoothly, because they volunteer their time and help us run that whole competition. In February, we placed 3rd at our league competition, and then the very next day we went to cheer for a cure at Centerville High School, where we placed 1st out of 7 teams. So we were really excited for the state competition this year. We competed at our regional qualifier in February as well, and we qualified in the Division III non-building division, and this was our 6th year in a row of qualifying, so we were really excited. We did place top 10. We earned 8th place at that state competition. So these girls are just exceptional. They never stopped working hard this entire season. They're always up for the challenge of us coming back after every competition and taking judges' comments and tweaking the routine, and constantly adding new skills as they progress and earn those skills throughout our training. So by the time we went to that competition on March 2nd, we had packed quite a bit in our routine. And to keep in mind, our routine's 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So you have to show everything you can in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And since we are a non-building team, that means that we have to wow them with our tumbling. So just to kind of give you a few statistics on in 2 minutes and 30 seconds what these girls were able to do. We had 8 standing tucks, 11 cartwheel tucks, 19 running tucks, 11 layouts, and 1 full. So it's just incredible. So I don't know if they even know those stats. So they are made up of 15 athletes, and they're in grades 9 through 12. And just to keep in mind too, just like the coaches with wrestling and track were mentioning, these ladies are very committed to their sideline teams during this time. Through practices and games, they're very committed as students, and they cheer 5 to 7 days a week, honestly, during the winter time, and they maintain a very high team GPA, and several of them have 4.0s. So it's just exciting to see them excelling in the classroom and in their sport. So just want to recognize each of them, starting off with our freshmen. We have Cassie Keith, Avery Salyer, and ladies, you can come on up so we can see your faces. We'll do the same thing as the students that were called up. So Avery, if you want to come up. Abriana Bellard, Ava Martinez, and Reese Diver. You can just make a little line. And then on to our sophomores, Mae Phipps, Avery Vance, Bella Downard. And our juniors, Brooklyn Baker, Carissa Pitch, and Kendall Bowen. And then rounding out our seniors, Jenna Ard, Caroline Routson, Penelope Grody, and Emma Kelly. Thank you again for having us.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll do a picture with everyone.
Yeah.
Line them up.
You want to do them separate?
You doing separate out here?
Two, one and two. We'll do them and then do one with Andrew
Yeah.
and.
Yeah.
Do the boys first?
Congratulations. Thank you. Good job.
You got to be 6'5".
There you go.
Great job, Andrew. Great job. You guys. I think we can. We can. What's that? Let's put you guys. Yeah, I was gonna say you in the middle.
AJ here, and I'll be on the end.
That works. I can still see Tom. Tom, you good? I'm good. Tom's solid. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. All right, anybody else?
Great job. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Keep going, keep going, keep going. Three-rows?
Yeah, we'll fill that.
Or you guys have your photos?
Yeah. I'm over here on the inside.
Yep, that's perfect. We're good? Good? Yes. All right, everybody. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3.
Parents?
Thanks.
Very good job.
Thank you.
All right, let's get back to our normal size meeting. Hey, I like it better.
You guys don't want to stay?
Bye-bye.
I don't know why they never want to hang out.
I know. Like extra credit.
Can you blame them?
Well, yeah, that's good stuff. And then there were none.
And now it's empty.
Can we just wrap up?
Sorry, sorry.
Just group the rest of the.
So far away, we can't see you
There.
Thanks for popping in, though.
All right. Item 3.3, comments from the public. Seeing none, we'll move on
This is a good thing. Let's be very clear.
to section 4, treasurer's business.
What about superintendent's?
Yep, you skipped me.
I did. What? I was at the very bottom.
What about Robert?
Yes.
3.4.
Oh my goodness.
It's okay,
All right.
I will be brief.
Fine.
just a reminder that even though it's election day tomorrow, we do have students. We were able to, a couple years ago, get rid of the building as a polling station, which is very nice, security-wise, so we don't have to worry about that, and it doesn't disrupt our calendar. So that's, I believe we're the only Butler County school that has gotten that so far, so that's a good thing for us. It's already week 2 of the 4th quarter, which to me seems unbelievable. Next week already is spring break. Then when they get back, students starting in April 9th is the beginning of Ohio State testing, which is a very busy month for staff and students. The spring sports are well underway. I think meets and games start next week, if not maybe even at the end of this week. Spring musical is Anastasia, and that opening night is Thursday, April 12th. Maybe that's Friday, April 12th. And tickets are on sale now if you want to go to the, just the district website where you would go to buy any tickets for any.
Yeah.
They are available now. And Jesse Mayhab is April 18th, which is also right around the corner. So those are just some announcements I have for spring. The last thing I just real briefly wanted to talk about was later on the agenda, you will see an approval for, or a request for approval for a program called School Links. Back in 2015-16, they made a law which requires a student graduation success plan. And it's not just tracking credits and coursework, but there's career advising, graduation points, seals, all that stuff to keep organized. And at that time, most schools switched to a program that we currently have with an annual fee. It's called Naviance, and it was fairly recently taken over by a different company. And since that, there has been, correct me if I'm wrong, Tony, little to no support. And what's that? Is that the official record there? It has been very frustrating, not just for Monroe, but most districts in this area, if not across the state of Ohio, use that program, and it's been garbage. So Mr. Prohaska kind of took the lead, and he and Mrs. Long worked to find something as an alternative. School Links is the program. It is something that a lot of neighboring districts have been using. It has a lot more features, it's a lot more user-friendly, and most importantly, it actually interfaces with Dazzle, our student database, which Naviance doesn't. So that's a huge plus for us. So that's on the agenda. I just wanted to kind of share with you what that is. So that'll be a helpful tool for our high school students. So, all right. And that is all I have today.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Busker.
Yes.
All right, now we'll move on to section 4, Treasurer's Business. Mrs. Moore?
I have a quick comment before I recommend approval of the minutes. I had added the Finance Committee meeting minutes on here, and that was a result of some buzz related to interpretation of the public meetings law. But I have since learned that this board does not have to approve those minutes, but they are there for your informational purposes. So I am recommending the approval of the minutes from the regular meeting on February 26, 2024.
May I get a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr.
Second.
Leeds. Second by Mr. Grant. Any comments? Mrs. Moore, please call the roll.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Grant?
Aye.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye, motion carried. Four point two.
The treasurer's report. So I have several items attached today, and I summarized them in a presentation. Yay! So that we can hopefully move through them a little faster. One of the attachments is the normal monthly report, but I took some snippets. Basically, how are we doing? We are performing better than forecasted, as we have been, so that hasn't changed much. Our surplus keeps getting a little bit bigger each month. Interest continues to be up. Next page, please. This is just some year-to-date highlights through February. So last year, those are a little small to see, but last year February collections versus this year February collections. This is a little, it shows a little bit of a different picture because of the local taxes and reimbursements on the revenue side. You'll notice that it looks like our taxes are up by about $2.5 million. That is a timing difference. We received a tax advance, a $3 million tax advance in February of this year that we didn't get until March of last year. That'll even out next month, as long as the timing stays the same and we don't get, it just depends on if the next payment is March or April.
So it'll look like a deficit, it'll be a red arrow going down next month then?
Yeah.
So just a reminder on that, I'm sure on the note.
Yes, for the month, but for the year,
Yeah.
hopefully it'll stay up. It just won't be $2 million.
Yes.
Yeah. Otherwise, the interest in state revenue continued to outpace last year. On the expenditure side, salaries and benefits are continue to trend higher as planned. And the if you look at the all other, the one there at the bottom, there was a much higher expenditure last year than there was in February of this year. And so that $503,000 is driven by, there was a large Chromebook purchase last year in February that we did not have this year. So that's our year-to-date highlights. And then the other two documents that were attached in board docs was our final audited financial report. The auditors had sent everyone a copy of that. It is officially released, and I just wanted to point out that we did receive a clean opinion. We only had one comment, and that was related to the fact that we filed cash basis statements versus GAAP basis statements. And I think Holly had brought that to you. I don't know exactly the timing, it was maybe August, September, where LGS, a division of the state, had been preparing our GAAP statements for several years, and they very untimely let us know that they could not do that because of staffing issues. So we had to hurry up and try to find someone to do our statements. We were lucky enough to find Plattenberg, and while they couldn't fit into their schedule to do GAAP, they did a cash basis for us. So we got everything filed. The opinion was good, but we are required to file GAAP. Otherwise, we get this comment. There are several schools out there who do still continue to file cash because there is a cost savings to that, both on the preparation side and on the audit side. You continue to get this comment. It does look better when you're going for a debt rating if you do file the GAAP statements. So I intend to file GAAP statements for fiscal year 24, and I'm in the process of getting quotes for that again. Other than that, the other document that was attached was the official certificate of estimated resources, and just a quick note about that. That is a document that is certified by the County Budget Commission that we get back after the filing of our tax budget, which we did in January. So when we did our tax budget, you approved that, I sent it off to the Budget Commission, they certified it, this is the document we get back. And it is tied to the budget process as a whole. Later in my agenda, we have the resolution to accept amounts and rates. That's the next step for you to approve those rates that were a result of filing that tax budget. So that's all I have. Any questions?
Congratulations on the clean audit. That's excellent.
Yes. Thanks. It wasn't my work, but
But you're here, right? So
yes, I'm glad to be here. With that said, I would like to recommend the approval of the treasurer's financial report for February.
So moved.
Second.
all right, motion by Mr. Fulham, second by Mr. Grant. Mrs. Moore, please call the roll.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mr. Grant?
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye, motion carried. Item 4.3.
I'd like to recommend the approval of the bond fund report for February.
May I get a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Fulham.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Leeds.
David?
Any comments?
Is all the money where it's supposed to be?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Grant?
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye, motion carried. Item 4.4.
I'm asking for approval of the participation in the group rating program for workers' compensation with Shakely. We have used this vendor for several years, and we have no issues with them. And we get an annual projected savings of about $14,000 to $15,000 in premiums by going through this group rating program.
May I get a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Grant.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Hagedorn. Any comments, questions?
Good job.
I like a $14,000 or $15,000 savings. That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll take it.
Mrs. Moore, please call the roll.
Yes. Mr. Grant?
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye, motion carried. Item 4.5.
This is the recommendation to pass the resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary levies and certifying them to the Butler County Auditor. And this is where we certify or authorize those rates that were in our tax budget. That sets our millage.
May I get a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr.
Second.
Leeds. Thank you, Mr. Grant. Any questions or comments? Mrs. Moore, please call the roll.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Grant?
Aye.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye, motion carried. Item 4.6.
I recommend the approval of the following fund transfer. We are, as a result of the waiver of participation fees, the Follies, it is one of the only accounts where those fees were directly put into their special student account. And so it came to be that they were short a little money this year when they're trying to pay for Anastasia. And so we are replenishing that for them.
May I get a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr.
Second.
Fulham. Thank you, Mr. Grant. Any comments or questions?
Got to do what you got to do.
Yep.
Mrs. Moore, please call the roll.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mr. Grant?
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye, motion carried. Thank you, Mrs. Moore. All right, Section 5, Superintendent's Personnel Business, Item 5.1.
It's recommended the board approve the following resignation.
May I get a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Hagedorn.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Leeds. Any questions?
I'm being asked to make a comment on this. This was my daughter's first grade teacher who she absolutely adores. So, and Mrs. Clayton was a fantastic teacher for her and as a parent and everything. So wishing her the best and hope she
It's a loss. She's a great teacher.
yeah, she's a
I
Monroe
understand.
grad. She's from Monroe. She's it's always stinks to lose
Yeah.
great teachers, but I understand the reasoning. So, but yeah, we're bummed to see her go. But wish her the best.
Yes.
Of course.
I'm good.
All right, Mrs. Moore, please call the roll.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mr. Grant?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye, motion carried. Item 5.2.
It's recommended the board approve hiring the following new employees for the 24-25 school year.
May I get a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Grant.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Leeds.
No pens.
No pens. Darn. I thought I was going to have my first opportunity there. That's all right, next time. All right, any comments or questions? None?
Welcome aboard.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah.
I
Mrs. Moore?
believe both of them are currently here in long-term sub positions, so they've
Great.
been here and have been doing a great job.
Good.
It's awesome. Yeah, I would definitely like to hear that.
Mrs.
Mr.
Moore?
Mr. Grant?
Aye.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye. Motion carried. Item 5.3.
It's recommended the board approve the following extracurricular contracts.
May I get a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Fulham.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Hagedorn.
Looks like we got a football program going.
Mrs. Moore, please call the roll.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
Mr. Grant?
Aye.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye. Motion carried. Item 5.4.
It's recommended the board approve the following salary degree increases.
May I get a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Grant.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Fulham. Any comments? questions?
Congratulations.
Yes,
Yeah, it's awesome.
congratulations.
Mrs. Moore?
Mr. Grant?
Aye.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye. Motion carried. Item 5.5.
It's recommended that the board approve the MOU for the job share, one at the junior high and one at the primary.
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Hagedorn. Thank you, Mr. Leeds. Any comments or questions?
Neither of these are new, they're just renewals, and per contract, they have to apply each year, so.
Good.
All right. Mrs. Moore, please call the roll.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mr. Grant?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye. Motion carried. Section 6, superintendent's other business. What is superintel? All right, item 6.1.
It's recommended the board approve the following donations.
May I get a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Fulham.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Leeds.
Thank you for the donations.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Mrs. Moore, please call the roll.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Grant?
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye. Motion carried. Item 6.2.
It's recommended that the board approve the School Inc.'s contract for beginning April 1 through June 30th.
May I get a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Leeds.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. Any comments or questions?
This
Mrs. Moore?
is a renew or a new contract? I'm
This is
sorry.
new. This
Okay.
is the one, yeah, that I was sharing, and there's the next one is also School Inc.'s, but that's for the entire next school year, so.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
Mrs. Moore, please call the roll.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Grant?
Aye.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye. Motion carried. Item 6.3.
It's recommended to approve School Inc.'s for the 24, 25, 25, 26 school year.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Grant.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Fulham. Any questions?
So that's 2 school years?
Yes. And the first one that was just approved, it
Yeah.
was a little higher for just that short amount of time because it includes staff training.
Ah.
So that initial startup. Is
Okay.
that correct, Jody? Yeah. That's what I said.
Okay.
All right. Mrs. Moore, please call the roll.
Mr. Grant?
Aye.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye. Motion carried. Item 6.4.
It's recommended the board approve the purchase of 40 days of math coaching services from Michelle Walker Glenn for the 24-25 school year. And again, this is grant supported.
May I get a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Fulham.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Hagedorn.
Missed that one.
Any questions?
Sounds like I need to get into the math tutoring business.
So I did have a question about this one. What are like the success criteria for this? Like, how do we know if it's working or not? Like, I don't.
Well, she will be working with our math teachers from grades, is it 5 and up, or even lower than that? Even lower? Yeah. So one of the measures of success will be just, we are looking at we've had the math, or the language arts coaches that we've hired in the building, and we are starting to look at math. So not only is she working with our math teacher, she's going to be working with our elementary coaches as well, to help guide them, to help with our teachers. But as a point of emphasis, when you look at our scores, our math is definitely our area of need. So this is, obviously that will be, one of our criteria. It may not be an immediate impact, but it is definitely something that we need to concentrate on. So looking at our OST scores is a good measure for that.
All right, cool. Thank you. Okay. Any other questions?
The state would just quit changing math so much.
That might help.
Yes.
Mrs. Moore, please call the roll.
Mr. Fulham,
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn,
Aye.
Mr. Grant,
Aye.
Mr. Leeds,
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter.
Aye, motion carried. Item 6.5.
It's recommended the board approves early graduation for the following students.
May I get a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Grant.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Leeds. Any comments or questions?
Good job.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Mrs. Moore, please call the roll.
Mr. Grant,
Aye.
Mr. Leeds,
Aye.
Mr. Fulham,
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn,
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter.
Aye, motion carried. Item 6.6.
It's recommended the board approve the following legal counsel for Monroe for the calendar year 2024. And it's Bricker Graydon is the law firm, and this is the one that specializes in construction law for schools and municipalities. So,
Good.
May I get a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Leeds.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. Any questions?
This is just, do you think we'll be looking at this for multiple years, or is this?
we do this usually like in the January organizational meeting.
Right.
We do that, and because we've been working, through the, as we get into the construction piece, we would like to add them. So next year it would just be at the January if we are going to
Okay.
continue to use them. So it's an as needed basis.
Right.
So
But they would be on board throughout the building, right?
yes, yes.
So, yeah. Okay.
Any other questions?
Nope.
All right, Mrs. Moore, please call the roll.
Mr. Leeds,
Aye.
Mr. Grant,
Aye.
Mr. Fulham,
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn,
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter.
Aye, motion carried. Thank you, Mr. Busker. All right, Section 7, board comments. Start with you, Mr. Leeds.
Well, again, congratulations to all the students who were recognized here tonight for a job well done, and to the staff and everybody involved. Everybody have a wonderful time off for spring break. You guys all deserve it. And great job. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Mr. Fulham?
I've got 5 high fives from around the hive tonight. Here we go. High fives to our Monroe Elementary students, families, and staff who collectively raised more than $11,000 for the American Heart Association during this year's Kids Heart Challenge. A special shout out goes to Cooper Hicks, Raven Krause, Alex Dyer, Landon Clark, and Baya Clark, who were MES's top fundraisers. Also, thank you to Mrs. Hines and Mr. Darrell for coordinating such a fantastic campaign all month long. High five to the members of the 2nd and 3rd grade competition cheerleading squad who placed second at the Quest National Championships that were held at ESPN's Wide World of Sports Complex in Orlando, Florida. The team is made up of 27 student athletes from Monroe who represented the community and their squad on the national stage. High five to our amazing preschool team who was recently audited by the state and retained our 5-star rating. They put in so much time and effort to provide a high-level experience for our preschool students. I'm told the auditors were very complimentary and said the team had earned way more points than they needed to keep our rating. So congratulations to our preschool team and a job well done. High five to Jenna Beeson and all of our amazing Athletic Booster Club volunteers who hosted another successful night of bingo. I again left empty-handed this year, but was thrilled to be a small part of the overall success of raising money to assist our athletic programs. And high fives to the MHS Symphonic Band and Choral Choir, who are both headed to state. The Symphonic Band received the highest score possible at the district large group, and the choir got a straight Superior 1 rating in Class B. Good luck to all of the students involved in these tremendous programs. That's it.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you,
All
Mr.
good
Fulham. All right, Mr. Grant.
Just a couple of things. To repeat what Robert said, I can't believe we're already into the fourth quarter. Time needs to slow down just a little bit. It just keeps moving faster and faster. Want to wish everyone a happy Easter and a great spring break. This upcoming spring break, next week?
Yep.
Yeah.
Next week. And also good luck to our baseball team that will be going down to Disney next week to compete at a good level, playing at the Atlanta Braves spring training facility. And also I told Jenna, Mrs. Beeson, I'd give her, I know you gave her a shout out here, but she texted me yesterday because talking to her before the bingo night, they set a goal of what they wanted to raise for the student athletes. And the total gross profit for the event, which was $11,855.46. So they surpassed their goal that they had set. Next year's goal she has already set. And I remember when the event just started, I think they just barely hit $5,000 raised. So it has grown every year since they've had it. So it is a fun event. So I actually enjoy doing it. Also, just was informed, I know I have a future Hornet heading this way, but I was informed last week that I'll have a second Hornet entering the schools here in about a few years. So I'll have a second grandchild on the way here. So looking forward to, you guys are all stuck with me for a while. I'll be in Monroe for a long time. So that's it for me.
Awesome. Congratulations, Dave.
Congratulations.
It's like Adam Schefter over here with the updates.
What do you
All
think?
right,
is this?
Mrs. Hagedorn.
So I would like to say wow and congratulations to the Governor's Merit Scholarship winners. That is simply amazing and very helpful. As a parent that has two in college, I know how much that can be helpful in deciding where to go and help offset the cost for college education. It's quite expensive. I'd like to congratulate the Symphonic Band and the Choral Choir on heading to state. That's pretty amazing in itself, and just congratulations to all of those students. Safe travels to baseball as they travel to Florida next week. I'd like to wish everybody a good spring break, and for all those students that are listening, or the parents, I should say, and the teachers, come back from spring break and let's finish the year strong. We're here to get an education, so don't slack off at the last month or so. I know the seniors tend to get the senioritis and want to be done, but you still need to finish strong. So keep up with the studies and the test scores and all the good things that we're here for. So that's all I have.
All right. Thank you, Mrs. Hagedorn. I don't know. I understand Dave's ditto for all those years. Like, there's not much else to cover here, but yeah. So everything that they said, except for what Dave said. I do not have a grandkid, so that's good. But anyway, with that, I'll take a motion for adjournment at 7:09.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Grant.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Fulham.
It's a good thing you did that because you started late.
Yeah.
My bad. All right, Mrs. Moore, please call the roll.
Mr. Grant.
Aye.
Mr. Fulham.
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn. Aye. Mr. Leeds.
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter.
Aye. Motion carried. Have a good evening, everyone.
Pretty good considering how many people we have acknowledged to get through in an hour, a little over an hour.
Don't slack off for me.
Kobe.